is to help you live for today and tomorrow. So I was reading an article, and it was a guy that is, I assume, in his 60s at this point. He had written an article talking about regret when it came to his 40-year career before he went into retirement. And that when he went into retirement, he looked back and he was very upset with the life that he had lived while he was working. And the big takeaway that he had was that he felt like he was working toward retirement and forgetting to live during those years. And I think that is a big takeaway for all of us. Yes, I make this channel and we talk about budgeting, we talk about saving money, and we talk about spending our money wisely and not overspending and all these different things. But we also have to remember that what's the goal? What's the end point in managing our money and being a wise steward of our money in the first place? Is it just to have a good retirement? No, it shouldn't be that way. It should be that we are trying to have control over our finances so that we can have the opportunity to live for today and also be set up and prepared for the future. And so when I was reading through this article, I felt very sad for this guy because that's really what he was doing. He was, according to how he was sharing things, he was prioritizing meetings, prioritizing working over at his career, and forgetting or minimizing the achievements of his kids, not really showing up to sports events, and then not going out for vacations and doing all the things that we would consider living, right? Spending your years and spending them well. Instead, he was prioritizing career advancement, prioritizing making as much money as possible, and also prioritizing saving into his 401k. But remember, we shouldn't just live for some 20 years from now or whatever age you are, like some far off future. Yes, we need to be wise with our money and make sure we are saving for that future so that when that future comes, we are prepared for it. But we shouldn't become so lost in the future that we forget to live for today. And I think that's why it makes budgeting and stewardship of our money even better and more important than it ever could be. Because yes, some would say, okay, well, that shows that we should live for today. That means that I don't need to be worried about retirement or worried about saving money or anything like that because, like you said, Kyle, we need to live for today, maximize our time. Well, the issue with that kind of thinking is that people are running up debt on credit cards. They're running up debt in other ways so that they can try to live for today. The issue with that is that if you live for today, running up all that credit, then you can't live for tomorrow because you spent everything today. And that's not the priority of this channel. This channel is to help you live for today and tomorrow. I want you to have a good life all the way through. And that's what my wife and I are trying to do too. You know, we're trying to work our way through debts and things and hopefully be debt free this year so that we can live for today and tomorrow. And we know we've been making some sacrifices where maybe we haven't gone as extravagant of vacations as we could, going out to eat nearly as much or any of those different things because we're trying to accomplish all these other goals first. And yes, that has sacrificed a couple of years, but in the grand scheme of things, a couple of years versus 40 years of your career is a very big difference. So I just want to, use this article as a reminder to yourself and to me that we have a full life to live. We're not just focused on today, saving money for some far off future. We're focused on today, saving money so that we can enjoy things now and in the future. You should be able to take a vacation now or the next year or whatever, and also enjoy your retirement. It shouldn't be a this or that kind of deal. You should be able to do both. And that's why they say saving 10% to 15% of your income should be enough to help you when you get to retirement. And of course, not just saving that money, but also investing it in a 401k or an IRA as well. But if you're doing those things, then the rest of that money that you have should be able to go into enjoying life in the moment. Yes, sometimes we have to save up for things. My wife, we have sinking funds. We will put money into those funds so that we can go off and do something that we want to do, whether it be making a home improvement project, whether it be going on a vacation, all those different things. You can do the same. So it's just like when I argue about budgets. A budget is a plan. It's not a diet. It's not you suffering the whole time. That's not the point of a budget. The point of a budget is to get control of your money, know where it's going, make a plan of where you want the money to go, and then executing that plan. That's all it is. It's not supposed to be necessarily a painful restriction. That's not the point of it. Well, then going and taking a step back, that's what finances in general is. Being stewards of our money isn't so that we suffer for years and decades at a time so that we can enjoy our last few decades or couple decades of retirement. That's not the point. The point of being wise stewards is, like I've said multiple times through this segment already, so that you can enjoy today and the future. Trying to have both things, not just one or the other. And I think about my grandparents. It's kind of the same thing. When they retired, they did nothing. I feel like they still had good experiences because family, we would go to all these different holidays at their house, and there was lots of good memories built. But when I look at my grandparents on my dad's side especially, they had been in retirement for decades, 3 decades. My grandpa retired in his early 50s. So he had 3 decades of retirement. And what did they do with it? They just stayed home, just kind of stayed there, lived right like a little homebodies, and that's it. And they didn't really do anything beyond that. And that's not what I want for you or for myself. When we get to retirement, we should be able to go and try to live our life to the fullest. But it's not just about that. My grandpa paid off their house early and all that kind of stuff. And yes, they did make some vacations, but not a ton of vacations. They could have lived a very full life in his working years and in his retirement years. So I feel like looking back on it, not to, knock my grandpa for anything in particular, because obviously he did really well with managing his money. But I feel like he could have enjoyed it more. He could have lived a more full life with what he had accomplished. Because that's probably the worst, I think, one of the worst feelings ever. And obviously this writer felt the same way, that when you come to retirement and you've worked so hard to get there, then you got nothing. You got nothing to show for it. You sacrificed friendships, you sacrificed relationships, you sacrificed your quality time with your kids, you sacrificed vacation times and all this different stuff. You sacrificed so many things to get to retirement, and then you have nothing to show for it. You have all this time, and now you can't spend it with anybody because you never built any relationships with those people, and you don't have any hobbies because you were always working, and you did all these different things, and now you have nothing to show for it when you get to the very end. So remember to live for today. Remember to make every day a good day, an enjoyable day. And yes, you may not be able to live as extravagant now as you want to, but remember your sacrificing years should be shorter years, not decades. It should be shorter years so that you can eventually start to live fuller, enjoyable decades in the future. Basically, short-term sacrifice for long-term gain. So if you have been finding yourself spending a decade or longer making deep sacrifices, I'm challenging you to don't forget to live. Don't forget to enjoy now. Yes, you're doing a great job. You're making great gains and you're accomplishing many goals. But don't forget that at the end of the road, this isn't the board game life where we count up the money at the end and see who wins. That's not what it's about. It's about enjoying the journey and the process along with it.